Yes, I think also. Now you are able to see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyway. So previous class, so if you remember, say, so we have discussed, we were discussing some commonly encountered, the random variables. So, we have, so we have seen so many you followed, right? The random variables, which we use it in our many calculations and which we will encounter in practice. So we have seen, you see, the simplest is Bernoulli, then repeated Bernoulli gives rise to binomial, then, the geometric random variables, then Poisson, the normal, all kinds of things we have seen. Okay. So the last class, of course, we have seen this normal random variable, which is the, widely used or, in our engineering, say, everywhere, you will be using this normal random variable. Okay. So we have seen all its important properties here. So now, you remember, right, the statistics and other things also we have seen, right, that 68%, plus or minus 2 sigma, say how much area will be there, so 68 you followed. So 95 and then you say 99.7. So, so this is our statistics actual of normal random variable. So the main normal random variable, if something is normal, say, the chances of getting extreme values, are very very small, because the whole area 99.7% will be distributed from m minus 3 sigma to m plus 3 sigma. Okay, so this we have seen. And when this normal random variable, how it comes in practice, I have given you example also. Where do you, when you, what do where do you see this normal random, how it comes in practice, how it arises in nature actually, what type of randomnesses can be modeled by normal. Yeah, see, last class I have told you, right, how normal distribution comes in, practice in nature. See how normal random variable comes, how it comes in nature. So what did we say? This is a best model for what type of randomness?
So additive randomness.
Additive, okay. So whenever you see, say, the random variables may be complex, but if you keep on adding, so automatically you see the central limit theorem, that is CLT. So this says that you followed anything can be modeled, as a normal random variable itself. Okay. So this anyway we have discussed. Now this normal random variables, it gives rise to several other, the random variables. Okay. So the first one is, the log normal. Okay, which is also widely used. And the most you follow many problems, say we use this log normal random variable. Okay, so it comes like this. Suppose if x is a normal random variable, say. Okay, so if it is a normal random variable, and let us say we define a new random variable y, which is e to the power of x actually. Okay, so this y becomes a log normal random variable through this transformation. So this is a important transformation. You see, this log normal random variable comes. Now this also, because anyway log y and other things also. So many times additive randomness is there. Okay, so this gives rise to random variable, that is a normal random variable. Whereas this, because of e to the power of x and other things are there, so multiplicative randomness. Whenever you see these type of multiplicative things is there. Okay, so multiplicative randomness, so this goes to log normal. So if we have x1, x2, x3 up to xn, okay, and if I are defining a new random variable y, which is a product actual, okay, x2, x3 like that, this one. So this automatically, one can also show that you see it goes to log normal. And if I add all of them, so x1 plus x2, that is additive randomness. Okay, so this, so this goes to normal random variable. So this is how the log normal comes in practice. So now normal random variable is for additive randomness. Now if things are multiplying, say like for example fatigue problem will be there, collusion followed. So many impact problems are there. So many other kind of things where you will see this multiplicative type of randomness. Automatically, this log normal random variable comes into picture. So the probability density functions you can easily derive. So for normal random variable, we already know. Okay, so that is px of x, say. So if x is normal, So 1 by sigma x is a root of 2 pi, and e to the power of is a minus half x minus mu of x by sigma x whole square. So this is a normal random variable, minus infinity x less than or equal to plus infinity. So this is for the normal random. Now we are having another variable y, which is e to the power of x actually. Okay. So now the probability density function of y. So this we have to calculate. So we will discuss this after some time. You can find out from transformation of random variables. So if x is random, and if you take a new random variable y, which is e to the power of x, say, so then you can we can derive, and we will derive it also after some point of a time. So from the transfer, so this turns out to be something like, so 1 by y sigma x root of 2 pi and e to the power of minus half log y, okay, minus mu x by sigma x, say, whole square. And here because if x is varying from minus infinity to infinity, say, so now y will vary from where to where. What will happen to the sample space? Now what will be the sample space for y? See, x varies from minus infinity to plus infinity. Now we are having y, which is e to the power of x. So now what is the sample space for y?
0 to infinity.
0 to infinity. Okay, because negative things will not be there. So obviously, so it becomes a positive kind of thing when you compare with normal random variable. Okay. Now generally what we try to do in practice, so like this is the original one, but here if x is we derive from the transformation, but here what happens is so if you're having mean value x and this one, say, suppose if you take y as a random variable, so this quantity we rewrite in slightly different type of fashion. So same expression. So directly we write in terms of y itself. So we write like this: 1 by y will be there, root of 2 pi sigma, say, okay. So log of y, okay, and here exponential so the same expression, only we write something slightly different. So directly linking with sigmas of this set. So sigma of log of capital Y, and then log, say, okay, capital Y by using this m of y itself. Okay. So these are slightly, and of course you put this square. So we write this expression in this fashion. So you can rederive and you can do yourself itself. And finally say, so this m by a hat of y, okay, this is related to mean of y values, okay, multiplied by e to the power of this one, so minus half sigma square log of y, and then sigma square log of y, say, okay. So this is log of we write this v square vy square plus 1, where this vy square, say, okay. So one can prove this one also, okay. So here exponential of sigma square log y log of y minus 1. Okay, so we'll also write you followed it in this kind of fashion itself. So so these are sigma. So generally the same expression, both of them are same, but we try to write sometimes like this also. Okay. So this is how we write the log normal distribution itself. So like you see for quick this one, say, okay, so how to find out this one. So like if you are having data, say, so somebody has a lot of data, okay, and he says that this data is some fatigue failure data. Okay, and he says that he has tested some lot of samples of some steel specimens. No. So and then you follow, right? He says that the mean value, say, so the mean is something around say 4 lakh 30,000 cycles, and then the standard deviation, say, is 215 is 1,000 cycles. So this has been provided to you. Now he says that this fatigue failure, say, one can model this as a log normal distribution. Okay. So now so what happens, you followed, right? So what will be the distribution function or the density functions of p of y? So here the calculation when you are doing log normals is slightly different, because this expression, if you see, it is in terms of x actually. If you write in terms of y, the equations are not straightforward. So you have to write something like this. So we write like this. Okay. So you mean of y value, say. So this is a 4,30,000 followed. So these many cycles and sigma of y. So this has been provided, the standard deviation. So 215, 00. Okay, so this has to be done. So now here, we have to find out, you see, this Vy, these two expressions, that is, sigma square of log y, and then, this expression has to be estimated. So now this V of y say, okay. So this you can find out, so this is related like this. So you can calculate also. So this is V of y. This is also known as, the coefficient. This V of y is defined as, you see, the sigma of y say, okay, by mean of y. Okay, so now this V of y will be, you see, so 215, 00 by 430 say 000. So this turns out to be some, the 0.5 kind of thing. So now once you know this coefficient of variation or whatever, now we have to find it. So sigma square log of y. So this is, log of, you see, Vy, you see, square, so Vy square plus 1. Okay, so this from the previous expression, which I have wrote in the previous slide itself. So once you know this expression, say, so now you substitute, you will get this quantity. So log of, 0.25 plus 1. So this turns out to be 0.223. So sigma square you have to find out. Then you see the mean value also has to be found out. This m, hat of, you see, this y. Okay. So these are the parameters basically. So this is expression, you see, we have to use to find out, this m hat of y also. So this also you find out. So this is mean value of y. Okay. So you expect exponential, you see, minus half. Yeah. Sigma, sigma squared log of y. Okay, so substitute all these terms here, say. So this turns out to be, okay, so 4,30,000 multiplied by e to the power of, say, minus 0.223 by 2 kind of thing. And so this turns out to be 385, 00 cycles actually. So these are the parameters of our log normal distribution. So now we can write the probability density function of y. Okay, so substitute, so 1 by, you see, 0.472 root of 2 pi times y. Okay, so substitute in this expression. So this is my probability density function for log normal. Okay, so substitute all the expressions here. So sigma, you know everything. So sigma is square is a 0.223. So sigma will be square root of this one, that is 0.472. So this exponent in this one minus half. Okay, so 1 by is a 0.472 log of y by, you see, that m hat, this one. So 385,000. Okay, so this is square. So this is our expression. And of course, y will be always less than or equal to 0 because it's a log normal. So sample space will be from 0 to infinity itself. Okay, so this is how, we try to find out our the probability density function for log normal. So the log normal random variable, what happens is, the problem is when you take the data as log normal, say. So from the data, you can estimate mean and standard deviation. So generally for normal random variable, it is standard, like you can use the mean and standard deviation, but for log normal, say, so you have to estimate these parameters actually, which are linked, through this expression, and then you substitute, say, you will get all the probability densities and other, the function itself. So this way, you can find out all the parameters of this one. So now if you take another simple problem, say like there somebody has tested steel cables. Okay, so this is also very, like the mean value of the data is 29,576, and then sigma is, some 1507. So somebody has provided you this data, that is a steel cable failures or whatever. Now this data, as already I told you in practice, so what is the first thing you assume whenever somebody gives you any data set? What type of random variable you assume? No. Generally in practice. See, somebody, if you do any experiments, say, so somebody has given you the the experiments, what type of random variable you use in practice? No, the easiest one is So you would have done the test. See, somebody, if you in the lab, say you tested some 100 steel cables or whatever. So from that you assume mean and you will calculate mean and standard deviation. What type of random variable you assume in practice? You assume the data as, no, what is the first thing you do? What type of random variable you use in practice in the laboratory when you have data? You assume the data to be what type of random variable? Poisson, binomial, normal, or log normal, or what is your assumption? No.
Normal.
Generally normal distribution. You followed. So generally we use, but normal distribution, what's the problem? No. So your sample space goes from minus infinity to infinity also. Okay. So let us say the data, we assume that it is normal. I want to find out probability that my steel cable's strength or whatever say. Okay. This is Young's modulus or whatever. So it lies from this to this. So this is what I want to find out. This is a Young's modulus of steel cables. Okay. So me 100 steel cables somebody has tested, and these are the values, some KSI units or whatever you see. So these are the units. Now I want to find out what is the probability that the value lies in between 28,000 to 29,500 say. Now the first cut is, we can assume the data to be normal distribution, which is very, very easy actually. So now if I want to find out this probability say, it is a straightforward, right? All the things, you can use it, that Z is equal to, x minus mu by sigma, and then you can easily find out from the standard this one. So let us assume it to be normal, and then so we will try to find out the value of this integral actual. Okay, so only thing, the limits will be 29,500 minus mean value, that is 29,576 by sigma, that is 1507. Okay, so the bottom one say, so that is 28,000 minus mu, that is 29,576 by sigma. So sigma is 1507. So this you can easily calculate from the standard normal table. So this probability turns out to be 0.3320. Okay, so this is a probability of this one actually. Now what is the problem of assuming the data to be normal? Now, so whether this assumption is correct or what is the problem, you will see if you assume the data is normal, is Young's modulus. Now what's the problem? What's the negative, or what is the main disadvantage of normal distribution?
We will get negative values.
So obviously your sample space is minus infinity to plus infinity. So there is a chance of getting negative values. So whether the assumption of normal is correct for Young's modulus? Or how do you justify this normal is fine like that? See, if you, as already we said, right, what is 3 times sigma? See, we have just discussed, right, whole normal, anyway negative values you will get it, but 99.7% will be located from what is 3, m minus 3 sigma to m plus 3 sigma. So m plus 3 sigma, m minus 3 sigma, if you find out, say, so you can approximately justify also. But mathematically, strictly speaking, still whatever may be your sigma, but still it goes from minus infinity to infinity. So that is a problem. Now the same problem, say, you can solve by log normal random variable also. Now let us assume that it is log normal. Same problem. Okay. So we are not doing anything. So same problem we have assumed as standard this one, and now you see we are assuming it to be the log normal. So now you have to have two parameters, that is m hat of y has to be found out. Then your sigma, that log y has to be found out. Now this problem says, so m hat of y, these expressions. Okay. So taken this, assume mean and standard deviation of the data, so you can easily find out this m hat of y, sigma square of y through these expressions itself. So mean and standard deviation now in this problem are, this is the mean and this is the standard. So same thing, we are assuming it like right now to be log normal random variable. Now this problem, so you can easily calculate. So this turns out to be 10 point this one, and this turns out to be 0.051, and the same problem. So 28,000 less than E you followed, right? Less than 29,500. The same problem. We are assuming it to be log normal, the random variable. So you substitute in this expression, okay? So you will get Py of y for this problem also. And then you integrate, say, from A to B, that is A is 28,000 and B is 29,500. So you do the same problem, say. So now this turns out to be 0.344 this turns out to be. You follow. So this is a number you see you get from the log normal random variable. Now you compare these two numbers. Say what is your observation? Now 0.344 and previously we got say 0.332. Now you tell me. Now what is that your observation actually? Is it fine, or whether the Young's modulus can be assumed as a normal or log normal? Or what is your comment? If you assume as normal, you will get 0.332. If I assume it as log normal, you will get 0.344. Now, what is your observation? So 0.344 and 0.332. What is that your, more or less same or different, or what is your thing? You have to speak loud, I'm unable to hear.
The log normal gives higher values, higher probability than normal.
So, compared to normal random variable, you followed, right? So why? Because that is minus infinity to infinity. Now it is this plus 0 to infinity itself. And now if you want to see the exact difference, say you should look at the extreme values. You can try. You followed, like you see now the 29,500, the mean value is 29,576. So we are looking more or less at the mean value. So you can compute that extremes, and then you can find out actually how much error you are making, or what is the same problem. If you assume it to be log normal, how much you will get. If you assume it to be normal, say how much you will get. You can calculate also. So some numbers I will get, like you see, if I want Young's modulus, say if it is less than 29,000, okay. So if you assume this to be from normal distribution, say, so this value turns out to be 0.35197. Now the same thing, say, if you assume the data to be log normal and once again calculate the same number, it turns out to be 0.3631. Okay, so like this you can compare the same problem. If you do by normal, what happens? Log normal, what happens? But of course, in this problem, because the mean and standard deviations are like this, maybe you see you got some more or less similar things. But there may be some data where normal may give something, or log normal may give entirely different things also. You can try to find out. Okay, so this is the most important thing. Now, so this is anyway the log normal random variable, how it comes in practice actually. Now another thing which is widely used in our engineering, say, is this chi-square distribution. You followed. So this is also very widely it comes in we encounter in many of these situations, and this also comes from normal random variable only. So normal random variable is like a mother kind of a thing. So you transform, say you will get log normal. You do something, you will get this one. So this comes, it is denoted by this symbol. This symbol we use for chi-square distribution, and it has like this, where n is the sample size. Okay, this is a sample size or whatever, but generally we write this as a number of degrees of freedom actually. Okay, so this is how it is denoted, the chi-square distribution. Okay, and how it comes is, it is basically it comes from square of normal distribution. So if there is a normal random variable, you square it, say, so you will get chi-square. So the parent distribution is once again normal only. So if x, say, is a normal random variable, okay, with mean 0, standard normal, say. Now if I define a new random variable z, which is a square, z is equal to x square, and and if there is only one sample, or depending on the degree of freedom, if there are n samples, okay. So we call this z will be chi-square distribution. With this is how you see this comes into picture. So now you followed it. So this is a very the important thing here itself. Now where do you see square of normal random variables? Where do you see these type of normal random variables? You can any one of you remember? You would have done in your UG and other courses also when you're handling data. Where do you use this chi-square? Or where do you encounter this type of chi-square random variables in day-to-day life? Normal random variable we told additive randomness. Okay, Multiplicative randomness means log normal comes. Square of normal random variables. Where do you encounter? Any of you remember? Where do you see square of normal random variables? So none of you have observed this. Where does this comes? All of you have done linear regression, right? Any of you would have fitted y is equal to mx plus say something here. So if I take x and y say are some normal random variables, okay, and let us say I write y is equal to mx plus c, okay, and if I calculate now, how do I find out m and c? Now I am saying that x is normal. So if x is normal random variable, say y also will be normal random variable, because we have told, right, the property of normal this thing is, if you take any linear operations or normal random variable, you will get once again the normal random variable itself. Now how do you obtain m and c, the slope and intercept? How to calculate m and c from the data? You have to do. Now how do you fit a straight line to the data? How do you get the intercept and the slope? Now what do you do? How to calculate in regression analysis? What do you do? Now, how do you find out m and c? In a linear regression, how to find out the constants? Now, how to find out m and c from the data? Given some 100 data samples, say, and you have been asked to find out, this is, you have been asked to fit a straight line to the data. Say, how to fit the straight line to the data? What do you do? How do you find out slope? So we have data sets. How to find out? We have been given data. Now we have been asked to fit a straight line. How do you find out how to fit a straight line? You have been asked to fit a straight line. How do you find out the the parameters of the straight line? What method you use? No, what method you use? All of you know, right? How to fit a straight line to the data. Now, what do you do in linear regression? How to find out the constants? See, all of you are there. See, Jyoti, you are there.
Yes, sir.
How to find out m and c from the data? How do you fit a straight line to the data? What do you do? What method you use? All of you know this least squares method.
Yes, sir.
What do you do in least squares method? You find out, right, the error. What is this error? So if there is a data set, say I is equal to 1 to n, you write, right, this is the data. So what you will do, you will fit a straight line mxi plus c, you followed. So this error you try to find out, no? So this yi minus, so this expression you try to find out. So this error set, so this error is, at each and every point actually, epsilon 1 square, you will find out at each and every data point. That is the least square error. So the errors are defined, this epsilon square and other things also. Then what you will do, you write, dou epsilon square by dou m is equal to 0, and then dou epsilon square by dou c is equal to 0. So you will get two equations basically. So by solving those two equations, you will calculate m and c. All of you know, right, this method? So this least squares method you have heard, no? This is not the first time, right? You know how to find out the constants, right? No, see, all of you know, right, this least squares method? No.
Yes,
You would
sir.
have studied in this one. So now here, what are you doing? What is how error is defined here? So it is defined by a square kind of thing you have. So now inside, what are the variables you are having? So these are all x and y, as already I told you, they are all normal distributions actually. So now what will be error? Error will be what type of random variable will be error? See, x and y
Normal.
are so x and y are normal. What will be error? What type of random variable will be error? Normal.
Chi-square.
Why it is a chi-square? Because
Square of the normal
it is
random.
basically square of normal. You followed. So if you are squaring the normal random variables set, so automatically, this turns out to be, you followed, chi-square distribution. Okay, so the mean square error, whatever you try to do, say, so that will be normal distribution. So now this probability density function can be worked out by functions of random variables. So we will do it after some point of a time. So the probability density functions for chi-square distribution. Okay. So if x is this, you can write this as 1 by 2 to the power of n by 2. Gamma function will come. Okay, so n by 2 e to the power of minus x by 2 x to the power of n by 2 minus 1. So this is a chi-square distribution. And then what will be the sample space for chi-square distribution? Normal is minus infinity to plus infinity. Now this is square of normal. So what will be its sample space? Now, what will be its sample space? Now, minus infinity to plus infinity, or what will happen to the sample space?
0 to infinity.
Because it is a square of normal, so there is no chance of getting you followed this values. Okay, so sample space is 0 to infinity, and then this gamma function say. Okay, so this is you can write this as you don't have anything in closed form. So t to the power of z minus 1 dt. So this is our gamma function actually. So this is how the chi-square distribution is linked. So since you cannot solve in closed form solutions, say, so these numerical numbers will be given for chi-square distribution. You would have seen. So this function is the gamma function. It is basically we call as a factorial. Basically. Right? Factorial. See n factorial. So you can write it as n into n minus 1 factorial. So this gamma function has the same peculiar property. So this z will be z into z minus 1. Okay, so similar to this factorial. So sometimes we also call this as like a factorial for continuous functions basically. So this is speciality of gamma function. It is just like our factorial, which you had studied in this permutation combinations. N factorial, the same property gamma function also has actually. Okay, and you can plot, if you plot this chi-square distribution, say, so it looks like this. So if n is equal to 1, it is like this. So n is a degree of freedom, it says, but anyway it is a sample size also. So this n is equal to 1, then n is equal to 2, say, it becomes like this. And n is equal to 3, say. Okay, so you see it goes something like this. And when n is equal to 4, so basically it goes like this. Okay, so as the sample sizes increases, say, so the distribution shifts, the peak of the distributions, it shifts towards your this right side kind of thing. So this is how this the chi-square distribution, which comes from square of normal random variable, automatically comes into picture. Okay, and now another random variable also which is widely used is student distribution, student or t distribution also. This is also very the important thing, or widely used in practice. So this also comes from normal only. So let us say if x is normal random variable. Okay, so x is normal, that is n0 comma 1, and let us say I have some variable s, okay, which is a chi-square distribution, that is square also. Now here let me one more thing I forgot here. Now where do you see square of random variables? Basically, see, one is in the errors. In the movements, when you calculate the movements, where you are doing anywhere some square. Where do you see this type of squares? In the movements also. When we define the movements, right? First movement, second movement, third movement, fourth movement. Where do you see the square basically?
Second movement.
That is variance basically. Okay. So expected values x minus mu whole square. So if we are having data set like x1, x2, x3, the sample data sets are there. Now we assume that all the data sets are normal. So what will happen to its variance? Variance will be what type of random variable? So we have data x1, x2, x3 up to xn. So let us say the data is normal. Okay. If the data is normal, say from this random data, you have calculated mean and standard deviation. Obviously, they also will be random only. So what will be the mean value? What type of random variable will be mean? When you calculate from the normal data, mean also will be
normal.
Because why it will be normal? Because mean you are calculating by
From x, which is a normal distribution.
that is x1 plus x2 plus x3. It comes from addition basically. Now, if you want to calculate sigma square, say what is that you have to do? Sigma square. Now, how do you calculate variance? Now, what is the expression you use for calculating variance? So mean is anyway x1 plus x2 divided by n. So it is if data is normal, so obviously when you sum up several things, obviously you will get normal distribution only. How do you calculate sigma square from the data? Now, how to calculate sigma square from the data? Data has been given, you know the mean values. How do you calculate sigma square variance?
X minus whole square.
Whole square, x2 minus mu whole square, like that. You try to do this one. So now what is that you are doing? What type of operation you are doing? What type of operations you are doing? It is
Yes.
addition. But what is that you are doing?
So we are squaring and adding, sir.
So when you square, say what type of random variable comes automatically? It will be
I-square.
chi-square because original data is normal. Okay, so this sigma square also, say this whatever sigma squares also, they will be chi-square distribution only. So this is, let us say S is a chi-square random variable with a degree of freedom n. Okay, and n is the sample size. So now we define a new random variable z, which is capital X by square root of s by n basically. Okay, so this variable is your student the t distribution. So student t distribution, where it comes is the numerator say is normal random variable. Okay, whereas your denominator is under the square root, and this is a chi-square basically. You followed. So this is a chi-square distribution. So the ratio of normal to square root of this chi-square distribution. So this turns out to be the student t distribution, and you can derive also from the pz of z. Okay, the probability density function can be written as 1 by root of n times pi, and of course you will have this gamma function n plus 1 by 2 by n by 2 1 plus some z square by n n plus 1 by 2. So this is a probability density function for this student t distribution. Okay, so where you will see it in practice is so this is widely we use. So like you follow it. Say like for example, say when we always try to find out the standard normal. See like x minus using mu by sigma. Okay, so we define for standard normal random variable, we try to do like this. Let us say mean is 0. So then your z becomes simply x by sigma actually. Okay, and now in practice what you will do, if x is normal, say the data is normal distribution only. You followed. And now the data like 100 samples are there, say. Okay, so now let us say we assume that the data is normal distribution, so your numerator is normal distribution. Now how do you find out sigma? Yeah, so sigma you have to estimate from the data only. You followed. And now when you have estimated from the data set, now what will be the what type of random variable will be z? See, the numerator is normal distribution. What will be the denominator? Denominator will be sigma. So this sigma you have to estimate from the data only, from the 100 samples. How do you estimate sigma? Just now we said, right? How do you estimate sigma? Yeah, so you estimate sigma by, no, from the data, you remember, how do you estimate standard deviation?
Taking square root.
You will take square, and then what you do, this is sigma square you will get. How to find out sigma? Sigma will be?
Of variance.
Square root will be there. So now, so what happens finally? So now what will be the random variable z? So this exactly matches with numerator is normal random variable, whereas the denominator is square of chi-square actual. Okay. So then this z will be what type of random variable it will be? It will be obviously
Normal.
Because sigma is not normal. You followed, right? The sigma is square of square root of chi-square distribution. Numerator is normal, so this turns out to be a t distribution actually. Okay, so this is a very the most you followed, right? Important thing. Okay, which you try to use it in practice. And of course, a t distribution also one can prove that as n tends to infinity, say when the sample size is very large actually. So then what happens? So the sample size is very large. Then obviously this student distribution say this goes to normal only. So this is a very important property of the student t distribution, and you can prove that expectation of z say this is 0, that is the first moment, and variance of z. So this will be n by n minus 2, and skewness is 0, and you can say kurtosis. So you can find out all the moments. Okay. So this will be 3 plus 6 by n minus 4 like this. So and if you try to plot this student distribution, say no, what will be its sample space? Tell me. Chi-square is 0 to infinity, and now what will be the sample space for this t distribution?
Minus infinity to infinity.
Why it will be minus infinity to infinity? Because the numerator is, see, denominator, what will be this? Numerator is?
Normal random variable.
Denominator?
Under root of chi-square.
So the denominator is 0 to infinity, but the numerator is minus infinity to plus infinity. So obviously your t distributions, its sample space also will go from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, and if you try to plot it, it looks exactly similar to normal distribution only. Okay, and if n is very large, say, so one can prove that you can do also the t distribution and this you follow, right? Both of them will be same itself. Okay, this is a very important the distribution will be there. Say like for example just 1 second. Say like for example this binomial this pricing we have seen, you remember long back we have done. Suppose x is normal random variable, say 0, 1. So probability that 5 days price, that same binomial, you remember it, that problem. So 0.33 times yes not, you remember no, that problem. So share price after 1 day it can go up or this one. Now after that you have like this, and then like this. You remember this problem previously also we have solved. This is for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day like this. So we have said that so this also binomial thing you can find out from this one also. So the same problem say, okay, so e to the power of x is 0.33, so x is log of you see 0.33, so this turns out to be 1.0986. So probability say, so the same, so yes, fine, that the 5th day price will be less than. So this because this is our normal random variable is coming from x, so you can calculate if you assume it to be normal, say. So finally the probability x less than or equal to 1.0986. So the same as this one only. So here we are asking S5, S0, but here the randomness is coming from X. So you translate everything to X, and if you calculate, so this turns out to be 13.6%. Now this is with the 5 times the normal, assuming it to be normal. Now the same data say, if you assume it to be t distribution, the same problem. Because it is only 5 samples or whatever, so n is equal to 5 and variance say of z is n by n minus 2. Okay, so this turns out to be 5 by 3, and you calculate from the student distribution. Okay, x less than 1.0986. Okay, so from normal it is 13.6%. Now this turns out to be 16.1% from the student the t distribution when you compare with the normal distribution. Okay, so this is a very the important thing. Okay, so you can see how of course when n is equal to now we are coming up to S5. But if you do up to S100, say, then what will be your comment? See, with S5, normal gave 13.6%, 5 samples only. This T distribution came 16.1%. Suppose if N is the same problem, say, if you assume that N is 100 or 200, what is your comment? Yeah, the same problem you do with 100.
Error will be very less, approximately same.
Approximately same. Okay, obviously, that is how we see it goes. Okay, so this way you followed, right? So you can, so this is also a very interesting distribution which is widely used in practice. One more thing also comes, F distribution. Like this we can derive so many, okay, but F distribution. So this also we will be using actually, okay. So this turns out to be, like this. So this also we have, two random variables. Okay, x1 is chi-square with n1 samples, and x2 is also chi-square distribution. Okay, so now this is a new random variable which is nothing but ratio of two chi-squares basically. Okay, so this turns out to be the F distribution itself. So like that we can, so normal square will give you chi-square, then a ratio of chi-squares will give to F distribution. Like this you can keep on doing lot of variety of operations, say. So you can get variety of distributions, but all of them the parent distribution is normal. Okay, so this is also like this, so many you can derive. Now one more last one we will see, that is this Cauchy's distribution. This is a very famous Cauchy's random variable. This is a very special type of the distribution, the Cauchy's distribution we say, and it is a best example sometimes in a pathological distribution also they say. In the mathematics, it's a very special the distribution, and it has a very peculiar the property. Okay, and it's a probability density function. Say we write like this: Px of x is equal to 1 by pi times r square by x minus x naught whole square plus r square. So this is a distribution where x naught is the location, and r is the scale parameter. Okay, so this is how the Cauchy's random variable is defined like this. If you assume x naught is 0, say, and r as 1, so we will get a standard Cauchy distribution. Okay, the same thing only, just this one. So then our Px of x, say. So this you can write this as 1 by pi, 1 by 1 plus x square. Okay, so this is the Cauchy's random variable. Now the problem of this Cauchy's random variable set, the most important property why we call this as a pathological distribution is, if I try to find out the movements, that is a mean value. Okay, so what will be its mean value? So it will be minus infinity to infinity. So you remember, right, x into Px of x. So this becomes x into 1 by pi, 1 by 1 plus x square dx. Now, what will be the value of this function, this integral? Can anybody tell me? See, what is the integral, x by, 1 plus x square dx, say. Now, what will be its value mathematically?
Tan inverse x.
So finally, you tell me the value. Limits also is minus infinity to plus infinity. Now, minus infinity also, if you substitute everything, so what do you get? Now, you get the value as? So finally, what's the value you get? You followed. So what is the value you will get finally?
Infinity.
Infinity only. Now if you try to find out x square, that is the second moment. So a second moment means anyway 1 by pi will be there. So you will be having x square plus 1 plus x square dx. This also you calculate. So this also turns out to be infinity only. X cube, the third moment, if you try to find out, so this also will be infinity. And if you try to find out nth movement, say, this also will be equal to infinity itself. So what is the comment here? So this is a special random variable. You have its probability density function is known, but all its movements are first movement, second movement, third movement, fourth movement. All movements are basically
Infinity.
Infinity, that means undefined. Okay, that is the meaning of that expression. So the movements does not exist. You followed. So these are very, very, special random variable. See, generally, so if somebody asks you, say, do you have any random variable which will have a probability density function, but movements should be undefined, say. So then the best example is this Cauchy random variable. Okay. So this is a very special, the random variable. That's why they call this as a pathological distribution actually, because, you followed, right? Density function exists, but movements doesn't exist. The mean is infinity, standard deviation, or whatever you call, so second movement, third movement, fourth, all of them are undefined, the kind of thing. So these also very, the widely used, you followed, right? Not widely used. This is a best example for a pathological, the distributions itself. Now another one is exponential also. So this also we will be using. This is anyway straightforward, this exponential random variable. This comes from, the geometric random variable only. Long back we have said, right, the geometric random variable. What is the speciality of geometric random variable? What does geometric random variable gives us? What is that you are trying to, what is the physics of how this geometric random variable comes? You remember long back we have discussed?
It consists of n repeated Bernoulli trials.
In Bernoulli trials, perfect. What question we asked to get geometric? What type of question we asked? How does the geometric random variable comes? You remember? So if you go to our old slides, say, okay. You remember this geometric random variable? What does it describe? You can see here. What is that it is trying to describe? So we have n Bernoulli trials, but what you are expecting?
Time to first success.
First success. So now this geometric random variable we have seen. Okay. Now this by exponential distribution, it is same as a geometric random variable only, but things n goes to infinity. You follow, right? When n tends to infinity, like Poisson's say. We have said, right, when n tends to n tends to infinity and p tends to 0, whereas np tends to some constant a or something. So your binomial, this turns to Poisson actually. So the same expressions you use, and if it is a geometric random variable, say, so this goes to this exponential distribution. You followed. So geometric random variable or exponential random variable, both of them are same. Only thing is the limits actual. So n tends to infinity, p tends to 0, np tends to some kind of a constant, say binomial jumps into Poisson, and geometric one can prove also is it goes to exponential. Okay, and its thing is lambda e to the power of minus lambda times x. Okay, and x of course will be greater than 0, and lambda is, you see, rate of decay. You forward. So this also comes into this one. Okay. Now what will be the mean value of geometric random variable? What was the mean value you remember for geometric random variable? What was the mean value? We told, right, one very important concept we brought out for geometric random variable.
1 by p.
1 by p, that is 1 by probability itself. So what do we call that 1 by p? We gave a name, right?
Return period.
Return period, excellent. So because as exponential also is same as a geometric random variable, so expected value of x, if you try to find out x into px of x, and if you do, you will get 1 by lambda. You followed. So lambda anyway is rate of decay or frequency or whatever. So this automatically turns out to be return period or recurrence period or whatever, and variance of x is say. Okay. This will be 1 by the lambda square and other things you followed, right? So this comes into picture. So this quantities we also call this as return period, or sometimes basically lambda is anyway rate of decay or whatever. So reciprocal of probability, say we call as return period generally. Of course, lambda and p more or less maybe they may give this one, but 1 by lambda is rate of decay recurrence. So this generally is known as recurrence period also. Both are same only, but because one probability reciprocal is written period, but lambda reciprocal is recurrence period, they say. But of course, many textbooks, they say that both of them are same, and then they try to do this one also. Okay, so this is a very important exponential thing also. It comes from practice. You can also derive this exponential random variable from Poisson also. And you can also derive this geometric, the distribution itself. Okay, so this is also very, important kind of random variables which we encounter in practice. So like this, we can keep on discussing so many random variables. Okay, so anyway, so we will discuss after some point of a time the extreme value and other things also. So now let us see two-dimensional random variables. Now, when two dimensions. So 2D random variables are there. We have seen only one dimension, px of x only. Now if we have two type of random variables, what will happen? So like I told you, right, that the problem, if you are doing 5 courses basically, or if you are doing, 2 courses. So if you are doing 2 courses in this semester, so you will ask, right, what is the probability that, in the first course also I will pass? Second course also I will pass. You follow, right? So this becomes automatically 2 dimensions. Suppose if you are doing 5 courses, say, so if you ask this question, what is the probability that I will pass the first course, second course I will fail, or third course I will pass? You follow, right? So this also, there are 5 courses. If there are n number of courses, it becomes, the 5 dimensions are, multi-dimensional, the random variables. So this also, it comes in, the many practice. Or for example, so right, deflection for a cantilever beam, you would have done PL cube by C3I, all these kinds of things. This is my deflection. So suppose if there is a P is also random, I is also random, E is also random, L is also random, say. So then, you can have, the dimensionality becomes, much larger basically. Okay. So that is how, the multi-dimensional random variables, comes into picture. Okay. So like, let us see one simple, to illustrate this one. So let us say we have a company. How this comes in. Let us say we are having a company or class or whatever. So we are having, the students say, let us say the duration actually. Okay. How much they read the subject or how much they work in a company. So some employees works for 6 hours, some employees work for 8 hours, and some employees they work for 10 hours, and some people say they work for 12 hours. It is like a PhD, you are spending this much amount of time on all these 6 hours. Some students spend 6 hours, some student they makes 8 hours, some students they do 10 hours, and some students spends 12 hours. And then let us say we are interested in productivity also. You follow the productivity of this itself. So some students have 50%. Okay, then productivity is 50% and 70% and 90%. So these are the sample spaces. So like you see how many students are in the class or company or whatever. So let us say we are having 139 students. Okay, in the class, and like this is a typical our steel design or our BTech programs. We are having 139 students in the class. And this amount of time they spend on the course. Some students study only for 6 hours, some students study for 8 hours, some people study for 10, and some people study 12 hours. And their productivity also, I can classify all of them into 50%, 70%, and 90% productivity. So now you follow, right? Now, so here, so each student, say, I'm having 2 descriptions. One is the duration, how much duration they are spending on the course, and then what is their productivity. So 2 random variables are there. So this problem is 2-dimensional. Okay, and it is a discrete basically. So this is a discrete random variable. Now, how do we correct it, or how to plot that? So when it is 1-dimensional random variable, say, so how do you construct a probability density function? In practice, if I give 100 data sets, how to construct a probability density function? Long back we have said, right? What do you do?
We plot a histogram.
You plot a histogram actually, okay, and then you divide by the number of samples, you will get the probability density function. And now what is that you are having? Now here also you have to construct a probability density function actually, but the problem here is you are having 2 dimensions, okay. So now to construct a histogram, here also we do like this. So 650 you followed, then 850, okay. So it is a 2-dimensional, then 1050, then we have 1250 actual. So we divide all of them into groups. So then 670, then we have 690, okay, duration and others. So 8 comma 70 and 8 comma 90, then 10 comma 70, then 10 comma 90, and then you see 12 comma 70, and then 12 comma 90 actually. So we divide them into, you see, so 3 1 2 3 4 are there and 3 are there. So 4 threes are 12 boxes are there. So now you have to find out in each box say how many students comes into picture. So total number of students are 139. So you can easily find out from the class data set. So in this box 2 students comes, in this box say 5 students are there, and in this box say 10 students are there. Now in this box these are data 5 students are there, and in this box say 30 students are there, and in this box 25 comes into picture, okay. And this box 8, then this box 25 comes, and then in this box say we will get 11 students. Now this box is 10, then this is 6, and this is some 2 students, okay. And if I sum up everything, I should get how much should be the sample size. It should be, what is the sample size? Now total should be how many will be how many are there here?
139.
139, okay. So now we have to plot the 2-dimensional histogram, okay. So we do like this. So this is so I have one column is you followed, so 50. So let us say this is 50, then 70, then 90, then I have 6 hours who are spending, then we have 8 hours, then we have 10 hours, and then we have 12 hours actually. And then of course on the z-axis I will plot my probability actually, okay. And of course if you divide all of them by 139 say, so I will get my density function, okay. You normalize everything with respect to the sample size, automatically you will get a density function. So now what type of density functions are now right now? How do we represent these density functions? Because these are discrete data set. Whenever you are seeing discrete data, its probability density function will be represented through which functions? Which functions will represent?
Direct delta.
Direct delta function. So now among all these, so now you are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 direct delta function. Where the maximum value is among all these things, which has a maximum value, which is B. Which combination has the maximum value? Now which combination is the maximum? 8?
No, 870.
870. So you can see, so this one will be the maximum you followed. So you can plot the histograms, okay. So 25, 8, 90 is here. So this is one, and you can plot all the direct delta functions, okay. So like this you followed it, you will get all the numbers. So this is how the 2-dimensional the probability, this one will tell you. So now what does it tells you, this quantity? Now, so what does this value tells you? So 2 by 139, when I'm saying 2 by 139, so what does physically tells you? Now, how do you interpret this data? Now, probability of, what does it tells you? Now, so what is the physical meaning of 650? It is a 2 by 139, or 870, the maximum value is a 30 by 139. Now what is the meaning of this expression? It is getting a maximum. So what is your comment? So majority of the students is, what is your comment now? By look at what a physical interpretation of this data. Now what does it tells you?
Maximum student works for 8 hours with a productivity of 70%.
or majority of the students in the entire class among 139 students. So majority belong to which group? So they are spending 8 hours in a day and their productivity is 70%. So that is the meaning of this one. Now what is the lowest probability? Say like 2 is the value. So there are the probability of students who spends very 6 hours only and their productivity is also very low. You followed it, is a 2 by 139. And then we also have students who spend 12 hours and then productivity is 90%, is also very, very small itself. So that is how we have to interpret this data. So this two-dimensional probability density is we represent like this. Probability x is equal to small x and capital Y is equal to small y. Or sometimes the meaning of this expression also is like this. Probability of x is equal to small x intersection y is equal to small y. So this is how we try to represent. So the meaning of this expression is x is equal to 6 intersection y is equal to 50 is basically is 2 by 139. That is how we represent the two-dimensional densities. So we will represent this symbol intersection, and many textbooks have used is a comma operator. So whenever there is a comma, say, you have to understand that comma operator tells you this intersection, that is, it denotes this intersection basically. Okay. So these how the two-dimensional things will be there. Now we can also construct marginal densities also. So two-dimensional things are little bit confusion. So we can define one-dimensional also, Px of x. So this is we sum up this 2D thing in one direction. X is equal to x. Sorry. No, so x is equal to small x, but capital Y is equal to yi, and I runs from 1 to that whatever n actual. So you sum up, and then we can also find out y of y. So where you sum up over a row or you sum up over the column. So capital P, x is equal to xi and y is equal to small y or whatever this one. Okay. So we try to do like this also. You followed, right? You sum up over, or I think these are discrete only. I think instead of writing all yi's, you sum up over all yi's and you sum up over all xi's actual. Okay, so this also we can find out. So like for example, say, so px of 6 if I want to find out actual. Okay, so 6 contains 50, 70, 90. So you sum up over this column. Okay, 2 plus 5 plus 10, say, you will get one number actual. Okay, and for 8 also, or you sum up over row or you sum up over the column. So like for example, px of 6 will be, so 2 by 139 plus 5 by 139 plus 10 by 139. You follow? And similarly, say px of 8 also you can find out. So x and px of x. So 6, 8, 10 and 12. So you are summing up over the columns. So you will get this. So this turns out to be 0.122. 0.432, then 0.317, then 0.127. Now similarly, say I will sum up over all the y's. Okay, like you see, I have 50, 70, 90. So what I am doing essentially is, I am summing up over this row actual. Okay, so 50 means I have to sum up this combination, this plus this plus this plus this. So this I am summing it over this direction. So when I sum up in this direction, say, so I will get my py of y. This is 0.18, 0.475, then 0.345. So I will get all my marginal the densities also when I sum up over row or when I sum up over the column itself. Okay, and then we can also find out the conditional probability. So the probability of productivity, say. Productivity is the 90%. Given duration is 8 hours. So how do I find out this conditional probability? So what is the probability of A given B? You remember what is this probability of A given B? Long back we have discussed. Now what is that one? Now, what is the probability of A given B? It is
P intersection B upon PB.
A intersection B by P of B. Now in this case, what is the top productivity is 90%, and then 8 and divided by P of B itself actually. Okay, so that is x is equal to 8. So now the first one, how do I get the first one? Y is 90% and x is 8. So now you will find out from which graph? 8 and 90. What is the value?
25 by 139.
25 by 139. And 8 is equal to what is x is equal to 8? You have summed up over all the this productivity aspects. So this you can write this as 25 by 139 by using 0.432. So this turns out to be 0.417. You follow. So this is how the discrete kind of thing you can easily find out from this two-dimensional distributions. So like this many problems you can calculate by these discrete random variables also. Okay. So anyway, I will stop here. We will continue in the next class. So if you have any doubts, you can ask.